Okay, everyone.
All right.
I'm going to get things kind of softly kicked off here. First, we are going to go through the instructions for Spanish translation. And so I'm going to hand it over to Magdalena Aravena to walk us through how you do the Spanish translation if you need that channel.
Hi, everyone. It's great to see some folks on here. Thank you all for joining. We know your time is valuable. If you know of friends who live around and neighbors who live in the area, please make sure this meeting will be recorded. So please make sure to let them know that they can watch this on the website later. For the meeting, just some quick instructions. You will be muted and have your videos off to begin with. Please feel free to type any questions that you might have throughout the meeting. We will try to get to them either during the meeting or come back to them later. As far as interpretation, as Kevin mentioned, we do have a Spanish interpretation option. So if you look on the screen, you can see there's an interpretation tab. Make sure that you choose your preferred language on there. And you will be able to hear my colleague Andrea from Studio Siembra as well, who will be interpreting, as will I later on. So please make sure that if Spanish is your preferred language, that you go on there. Para un momento para los que hablan español, que no hayan entendido, sí vamos a dar interpretación en español en esta reunión, así que si ustedes ven, deberían de tener un botón en el menú de abajo que dice interpretación. Por favor, elijan el lenguaje preferido ahí y van a escucharme a mí o a mi colega Andrea, que va a dar la interpretación en español. I'll give a moment for everyone to kind of switch over and we'll get things started.
Kevin, I think this is maybe, would you like me to introduce the team here?
No, I was going to give a little bit more time for people to get onto the Spanish, but I will kick it off here right now, actually. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for attending the Green Valley Ranch West Park Improvements second public meeting. We are super excited to reveal our design. We've been working diligently the last couple months to generate this design, and we are ready to roll it out to the community. So with that said, I'd like to take this opportunity to kind of go through the project team here and introduce. We'll go through introductions on this, and so the project team is made up of Denver Parks and Recreation as the owner. We also have Design Workshop as the lead design team, and then we have Studio Siembra, sorry, as the public relations part of our team. So with that said, my name is Kevin Smith. I am the project manager for Denver Parks and Recreation, and I'm going to have Laura introduce herself as well.
Hi, I'm Laura Morales. I do community relations with Denver Parks and Rec.
And then Craig, I'll have Craig go next. Coronado.
Yeah, hi, Craig Coronado. I'm a supervisor and landscape architect with Denver Parks and Recreation.
Thank
Glad
you.
to have it here.
And then I'm going to hand it over to Design Workshop and Peter. He'll start us off on that side.
Yeah, hi, I'm Peter Samuels. I'm the project manager for Design Workshop. We're the lead landscape architect on this project. I have Caroline Scholler with me here on the call.
And then Studio Siembra, we had Magdalena already introduce herself. And so I just kind of, if Andrea can possibly, but I believe she is translating, so she may not be able to introduce herself, but she is translating on the other channel. All right. Let's see here. Just like I said, we have an agenda planned, and so what I'm going to do is hand it over to Peter to walk us through progress and also where we're headed. We have we do have an opportunity tonight that we are running some polls to gain preference on some things. So Peter will elaborate on that as we get to those opportunities. So Peter, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Kevin. And just want to welcome people again. Thank you, everyone who's joined this evening. We're really excited to provide you all with an update on our design for Green Valley Ranch West Park. So just wanted to start with a roadmap for our time this evening. We're going to start with a project introduction, which for any of you who maybe took our online survey in the fall or joined our open house in November, it might be a reintroduction, and also provide a summary of what we've heard from all of you in the community thus far. In the second part, we'll provide an update on our current design, including several topics that, as Kevin mentioned, we're looking forward to getting some live feedback from you on through some interactive polling. And then finally, we'll talk about next steps in the project, touch on our timeline again, and we'll open things up for discussions and any questions you have. So we'll start with the introduction here. We wanted to start by discussing the timeline of the project, both in terms of where we've been and where we're headed here. So overall, this project from the beginning of the design phase to the beginning of construction is just over a year. So early this past fall, we began with initial concept development, and this was a period that was bookended by feedback from you all, first through an online community survey that helped guide us towards some essential priorities. And then in November, we met with you all in an open house at the Green Valley Ranch Community Center, where we got a lot of valuable feedback on our initial design concepts, and that gave us a jumping off point for moving into our preferred alternative design development. So in the last few months, we've been working hard on developing our design, and we're not quite at detailed construction drawings. So we're at this important transition point that we call 60% design. And it's a really good point for us to connect with you all and show you where we're headed and get some additional feedback as we do start to get into the details a bit more. So as we move forward into spring, we will finish up construction documentation and move toward construction, and we'll touch on that at the end of this as well. So as we look at Green Valley Ranch West Park, this project began with a recognition by Denver Parks that as this Green Valley Ranch community continues to grow, this really well-used neighborhood park could benefit from some updates to make it both more comfortable and functional for everyone in the community who enjoys this park. And in particular, we saw DPR recognize that there are some core facilities that could use some updating, and that includes the picnic area, which you see in the lower right-hand side of your screen, the basketball court. We have some overall challenges currently with park accessibility in terms of paving and some steep grades in places. And furthermore, we recognized an overall need for improvements to lighting to make the park safer place to be in the evening. Furthermore, stormwater is a really important part of this park. This park actually is, some of you may know this, some of you may not, it's a detention area for when we have large storm or flooding events. And day to day, there's a trickle channel that currently runs alongside the sidewalk and basketball court that we recognized a need to separate that trickle channel from those pedestrian elements. And then finally, our irrigation system in this park is aging, and there's a need to improve that as well. So as we look at the scope for improvements on this project, we're hoping we can address all of those issues and opportunities. So on this slide, you're seeing a list of our planned improvements as overlaid on the existing park. So just to review these quickly, we wanted to mention, excuse me. So first, number 1 will be updating the picnic area. Number 2 is replacing the basketball court. Number 3, as mentioned, we're separating the sidewalk from the trickle channel and also providing new lighting. So that's 3 and 5. Number 4 is rebuilding our stormwater trickle channel. Number 6 will be replacing the current sport goals for soccer and football. And 7, providing a new planting bed at the northern entry to the park. Across the entire park for 8 and 9, we'll be making sure that we're making this park more accessible for everyone in terms of the paving. And then for number 9, as mentioned, replacing the irrigation. We also wanted to mention 2 areas of the park that are not being improved at this time that we've gotten some feedback on, and those are numbers 10 and 11. So for number 10, in the future, we'll be converting the northeastern hillside of the park from turf to native grass. And then number 11 is the playground. So we recognize and we've heard from the community that the playground is well used and might benefit from some improvements, and Denver Parks is currently looking into improvements that may be provided in the future. So on the topic of having heard from you all about what is important, I'd like to pass it back off to Magdalena with Studio Siembra to provide an overview of what we've heard from you all so far.
Oh, can you all hear me? Awesome. Okay. Hi. So I wanted to kind of chat through the engagement that we have done throughout. As Peter mentioned, we have done both an online survey as well as a public meeting, an in-person public meeting that was held at the Green Valley Ranch Recreation Center last fall. The online survey really forms the foundation for the rest of the engagement process, as well as for the design process. And so it gave us a really abstract idea of who the community is and what the priorities are. So as you can see here, our online survey received about 54 unique responses. What was really great about the responses that we received was that 86%, which is a really significant number, came from the zip code the park is located, but also a majority came from within a 10 to 15 minute walk from the park, which is right around, which means that although this initial feedback didn't reach a huge share of the neighborhood at large, it was really hyper localized and focused on those who use and see the park probably on a daily basis. As you can see in this graphic, just over half of the respondents were 30 to 49-year-olds, while another significant portion was young adults, 19 to 29-year-olds. Although not a majority, it is worth mentioning that about 6% were under 18-year-olds, which is really awesome to be able to get some feedback from the youth that may be more attracted to, or that we may be able to attract more through the recreational and play aspects of this improvement. Some important themes that came up in the survey, but also later on in the public meeting, was improving park features such as seating, picnic areas, all those things, better improving the maintenance, as well as adding shaded picnic areas and added seating options. So really, really timely with what the improvements for the park were being planned and in scope, was the concerns that the community was voicing through this survey. The top concerns that our respondents, online survey respondents, told us were safety and flooding, which again are two really important parts of this improvement project. And as Peter mentioned, I do want to note again that even though we know that it is not in scope, DPR has taken note that there was a significant call for playground improvements, and that has been noted for future potential funding. So kind of combining the survey here and the public meeting that was had, 83% of respondents of the survey said that they already use or would use the park for picnics if there were upgraded picnic features, which is really important in really kind of creating and understanding what the priorities were for those specific features. And so then we were able to, in the public meeting, really ask some pointed questions about those types of picnic features. So what the consensus was that we saw in the public meeting is, as you can see on the right side of the slide, is a desire for concrete seat walls, boulder seating options, and shade structure for that picnic area. So as you'll see later on, these were kind of what was incorporated into the design direction. Similarly, for the basketball court and sort of sports questions, we really wanted to understand what the basketball court usage was, and almost a majority of the respondents play at least daily, which is a huge, which is great to understand that the basketball court was being used and was something that really backed up this improvement. And understanding then also that 50%, almost 50% of the respondents would want to play more with some additional court improvements. You can see there too, we kind of broke down how many people play, and so 38% play with 1 to 4 people, about 10% play alone. So again, sort of half and half of folks who play basketball and folks who don't play basketball and see other recreational opportunities. But the other great thing that we heard then from the public meeting was that the community prefers a full basketball court versus any of the other options that were presented, half courts, other type of sports striping. And then the really exciting part that will not be elaborated on right now, but will be throughout the design process, is an optional mural for that basketball court, so that the court itself has some awesome art. And although that won't be talked about in this meeting, it will be further elaborated on during the rest of the design process.
All right, well, thanks, Magdalena, for that summary. As you saw, we got a lot of really great feedback and a lot to work with in working toward our current design. And so now it's time to review that with you all. Okay, so we'll be delving a bit deeper into the various areas that you're seeing here, but as an overview, number 1, as mentioned, we'll be replacing the current goals. 2, again, we're reconstructing the stormwater channel, which is roughly following a similar path to its current one. 3, we've, as mentioned earlier, it was a priority to separate the sidewalk from that stormwater channel, and we're providing lighting along our pedestrian paths in the park. 4, which moving on to the image at the right, we've updated the picnic area. 5, you're seeing our relocated basketball court, which we'll also discuss in greater detail in a later slide. 6, we've relocated the current memorial bench and tried to give it a little more space and to elevate that. And then 7, we provided new entry planting beds, both at the picnic area, and then also, just to go back to the image at the left, at the northern entrance of the park. So as we zoom in on the picnic area, we're looking at the part of the park that we sort of see as the beating heart of this place. It's the area that's most heavily used, and where we hope you will all continue to gather with family and friends throughout the year. And so we wanted to make sure this space would be really special and comfortable in rain and shine. We also aimed with this design to clearly partition this into spaces for gathering, spaces for lingering, and then also spaces to simply enjoy nature as you pass through. So as such, in this plan, what you're seeing, number one, we're providing shade shelter for the picnic tables, which this picnic area does not currently have. Two, we're replacing the current picnic tables. Three, will, as part of inviting nature and the character of nature into the park, we're adding some boulder seating along the edge of the picnic area, which we had heard support for, as Magdalena mentioned. Or we have an elevated planter seat wall, which wraps, so there's a seat wall that wraps around the western edge of this planted area facing the picnic area. Number five, we've provided a dedicated grill station in this design. Six, we've added a couple bike racks, which this part of the park currently lacks. Seven, we really wanted to bring people's attention to this park's role for holding and conveying stormwater on our site. And so we're adding a pedestrian bridge, the character of which you can see in those photos for 7, and we'll be adding interpretive signage to explain what this park is doing with the stormwater. And then 8, as sort of a playful element here, we're adding an informal crossing from the picnic area across the trickle channel at location 8 and toward the new pedestrian path and basketball court. Okay, so we've arrived, we're zooming in even further here. We're at the seat wall that wraps around our elevated planter at the picnic area. And so for this, we want to focus on how we might make this central raised planter that really anchors this space, a special element that can start to help form an identity for this park. And in particular, we think there's an opportunity to add some art to the front face of this concrete seat wall. The art installation we're envisioning would be painted, and it would have both depressed and raised elements that would make it tactile for young children. And so we wanted to invite you all to provide some input on what theme we might have for the art on the face of this wall. These aren't final designs, but we would love for you all to pick from these 3 options. So you should be seeing on your screen now an interactive poll, and each of you can vote. Please let us know in the chat if you're having any issues accessing or using the poll. So we'll give folks a moment here to for all of you to choose your favorite option between option 1, which is really inspired by the idea that this is a park for stormwater, option 2, which is a very nature and plant inspired design, or option 3, where we're having a bit of fun with some geometric designs. So please weigh in and vote on what would be your favorite.
And I think we just need 1 or 2 more votes, and then I'm going to close it. I can see the numbers coming in. I know we don't have a ton of people here tonight, so of course, if you hear others' opinions or if you get to show this to anyone else, let us know. We can put an email at the end that you can send that to, or I'll put my email in the chat. Okay, I'm going to close the poll. Here we go. All right, Peter, can you see the results?
I can. Okay, so it looks like by a slim margin, we've got a majority voting for the botanical theme over the water theme. No votes for the geometric theme. We'd be excited to advance any of these. So thank you all so much for the input. This is really helpful, and looking forward to the next poll. Okay, so likewise in the picnic area, we also see the shade shelter that will go over the picnic tables as an element where we can infuse a little bit of personality into the park. So for our second poll, we'd love to hear from you all as to which of these 4 colors that you're seeing that you'd like to see for the posts on the shade structure. Just want to be clear, the roof would be a fairly plain color, and so we're not voting on the color of the roof, but the columns and beams of this shelter. So I'll give folks another moment to vote on your favorite color from the 4 that you should be seeing here.
Okay, I'll give it 10 more seconds. Okay, I'm going to close the poll. Okay.
Okay, it looks like about 2/3 of you voted for the sage color. So we've got a very nature enthusiast sort of crowd here, maybe with the botanicals and then green, favoring the green color. Again, we'd be excited about any of these colors, and regardless of whether these end up in the actual shade shelter, it's really valuable to get some feedback on these aesthetic choices as we get into the details here. Okay, so as we continue on to the other side of the trickle channel, so we've jumped west from the picnic area to the basketball court. You can see there are several improvements here, beginning with the basketball court. As you can see, we've realigned the court, and this creates some nooks for additional planting, and just some new spaces within this part of the park. 2, we're providing a bench along the court. Number 3, as with the picnic area, we wanted to provide several bike racks for folks who are arriving at the basketball court on 2 wheels. And then lastly, you'll see a couple picnic tables at the top of this image. So currently, there are 2 picnic tables that are directly adjacent to the basketball court, and we received some really positive feedback at our open house in November about the idea of giving these additional picnic tables that we're hoping to replace their own space within a grove of trees. So a moment of nature and a moment to have a little bit more of a private and intimate social space. So that is what you're seeing there, and we're excited about that aspect of the detail, or of the this plan. Okay, so moving on, as we move north up the new path, a very important element of the current park is the memorial bench, and we felt it was really important to enhance and honor this bench, and so we're currently planning to shift it just slightly from its current location to this location slightly to the west on the pedestrian side of the trickle channel. So our aim here is to locate the bench near the path and close to our new park lighting, while also creating a moment to find some serenity and refuge within the park. So as such, the bench is located along a secondary gravel path that spurs off from the main concrete pedestrian path. And this bench will overlook new perennial plantings that will bring color, some biodiversity, and a sense of refuge to this area. So on that note, we've arrived at our final poll. So we wanted to take a moment to get everyone's feedback on what textures, colors, and overall character of the new plantings that they'd like to see. These are going to be bringing a lot of life into the new park. And so you can, in several locations, excuse me, as you can see diagrammed on the left. So as mentioned earlier, we'll be adding planting at the northern entry to the park, as mentioned in the last slide at the memorial bench. And then we have two different areas at the picnic area. So the raised planter and the hillside between the picnic shelter and trickle channel, where we'll be adding some perennial and shrub planting. So for this final poll, we'd like to get your preference between the two options you're seeing on the screen. In both of these options, we're focusing on native adapted and drought tolerant plants that will provide color and seasonal interest throughout the year. But there are some minor differences. So in option 1, you'll see a more accented, brightly colored planting palette that might be more reminiscent of what you might see as you head into the Denver's foothills. And by contrast, option 2 is a bit softer and has a bit more of a meadow character. So with that, it would be great to get everyone's feedback on what planting palette they might prefer.
Okay, I'll give that 10 more seconds. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. This is an easy one.
Okay, it's it's unanimous. Folks really like the idea of the slightly more xeric inspired accent blooms. We love to see that. Again, either of these options are great ones in our eyes, and really excited to bring a bit more nature, biodiversity, and life into the park. So thank you all for the feedback on that. Okay, we're moving into the final chapter here of the meeting. So as we mentioned earlier, we're at this point of where we're making this transition into our detailed construction documentation, taking the feedback from this evening and continuing to develop our design. So that's what we'll be spending the next few months from now through June doing as a design team working with Denver Parks. And then we'll go through a bidding process, and our plan is to start construction this fall of 2025. So thank you again, everyone, for joining, and we'd now like to open it up to questions. Thanks.
Peter, first off, thank you for running us through that. Great job. And we do have a question in the chat that just came from John, and John was asking about the lighting. John, so the plan is to put in pedestrian lighting, and this pedestrian lighting will be solar lighting. Denver Parks and Recreation just signed a deal with a solar lighting supply company, so we are super excited to put in 14-foot poles, or 14-foot height, I should say, and provide lighting via solar at this park. So something new that we were really looking forward to. I would also add that I think overall there's going to be the lighting on the south side along the existing walk, a few lights along there. And then where we have relocated, realigned the walk that we have decoupled from the trickle channel, we will add lighting along that path as well. And Peter, I believe we probably have about 5 or 6 lights along there to help illuminate the path. And the nice thing about that, we can control the lighting, dim it at night, and do other such things. So yes, we're super excited about that. And we could, I think somebody's flipping back to the slide to give you a little bit of an idea of locations.
Yeah, so you should be able to see some bright halos, and maybe I can circle it on the, oh, I can't annotate on the screen here. But as Kevin mentioned, we have lighting spaced across both the existing east-west running path on the south side of the sports field and then along our new pedestrian path. And we're following design standards that make sure that there aren't any dark spots within the critical areas of the park.
And then I do see another question that just came in as well. We have a question about water fountains, the porta potty that is currently there, and the trees. So I'll kind of slice this up a little bit and answer the question about water fountains. We have no intentions of putting in any water feature or fountains on these improvements. Maybe Peter or Caroline, if you can kind of, I don't know if we'd have this slide or not, but we are going to pull the portalet out of kind of the picnic area where it currently sits and bring it up to closer to the road. Yep, and Peter's kind of circling that location. So for several reasons, we would like to get that portalet up close to the road, easier access for the company that maintains it to access it there, and then also kind of get it out of the picnic area, so it's not down in that location. And then trees, I think the only thing about the trees with reorientating the court, and maybe Peter can kind of pan over where the court is, Peter, we are going to have to remove 2 trees in that location to kind of reorientate the court. But we are going to mitigate with planting additional trees. I don't know the number totally offhand at the time, Peter, maybe you do. I think it's 8 to 10 new trees will go in the park to mitigate that. And then I think the other thing regarding the trees are where the current pipe for the storm conveyance is adjacent to the picnic area. Those kind of more younger trees, we are going to transplant those and plant them within a location in the park as well. And I think we have, see if I can scroll down here. Will the handrails be replaced on the stairs on the east side? Yes, we are going to address those. Also, what about the planter on the west side of the park? We don't have any intentions of doing any improvements of the planter on the west side. Jody, are you referring to the southwest corner? Is that the one you're referring to?
Jody, you're welcome to turn on your microphone if you need to. Okay, she said yes.
Okay, we have no planned improvements there on that planting area. Let's see here. We have a few more. Let's see here. Oh, back to Jody had another question. Anticipated date of completion. Jody, with a September kind of start, And we're thinking about a 9-month construction period, so that would put us kind of in that May timeframe of completion for the improvements. And let's see here. Chris posed a question. Are there any trees that need to be relocated and pulled? I think I kind of answered that one already. And then will there be more trees planted? Yes, on that. John had a question regarding dog bags being provided. We do not have any plans of providing the dog bag dispensers, and the reasoning behind that is that we do not install plastic bags. That's kind of the new or a policy with DPR. We ask that people bring their bags when they bring their dog or to walk their dog within the park, and then dispose of it at a receptacle along the edge of the park. So that's the approach that we're taking. So no, there will not be any dog dispenser bags. And let's see here. Pamela has a suggestion not to place the portable potty at the direct entrance to the park. We have heard that, and maybe we will try to examine some new locations on that one. Oh, we have a request. Pamela has a request for dog on leash signs. We will look at the park rules and just make sure if we need to enhance or improve on the park rules signage, so we can have that, make sure that's kind of loud and clear, I guess the best way to put that one. And I think I have read off all the questions and provided answers. No, Laura, I mean, I believe people can turn on their mics too and ask questions if you wanted to go that route too.
Yeah,
If you don't want
absolutely.
it,
Yeah, if
yeah,
anyone wants to speak up, we have time. Otherwise,
Yeah.
we're welcome to give you your evening back if we're done early. So
yeah,
if anyone wants to speak up, feel free to turn on your camera or turn on your microphone. But I think we got some good comments in the chat. Jody said, thank you. This is exciting. I agree.
yes, we're super excited to bring these improvements. Yeah, we'd love to hear feedback too.
Chris, I saw you turned your mic off.
Yeah, I was hearing maybe that GVR West Park was one of the first parks that was built around the area, and so I want to see if that can be verified, maybe through DPR, and kind of see. I would love to kind of see if that's true, or if it's like one of the first few ones that we can maybe like honor that in some way. I know it's a smaller park and kind of neighborhood there, but I think that'd be kind of cool to kind of celebrate that. I know this year is 60 years of Montbello, and then GVR. I mean, Montbello and the area out here was annexed all along with Montbello. And so we're about 60 years young into the Denver area. So I don't know a lot if it was documented, but I'd be interested in, if there's like a
Yeah.
plaque or something that kind of alludes to that.
I'm happy to dig into that for you. Yeah, I know who to email. So I will find out the history of this park and if we can get the documents of when it was built and see like what aligns. We may need your help for neighborhood history. So I'll reach out to you or email me.
Yes.
Yeah, and Chris, some of the research I did, I have like 1982 in my head, but don't hold me to that. But I feel like it's about 40 years old. At least this park is.
Kevin, looks like one more question came in.
Looks like, yeah, John posed a question here. Was there DPD input on this? There's a real summer fireworks bang bang issue here. We did not have any DPD input on this, on these improvements. Not saying that we could not look into that. We are definitely, I think one thing in the slide is actually up here is up at number 7 there where the planning area is. We're really looking to clean up that juniper brush area over there, hopefully with the pedestrian lighting too. And I think what we could also do from a summer fireworks issue there, we could also put it on the park rangers forefront to maybe swing by there a little bit more often or make them aware of this issue. Yeah, if we don't have any more questions, thank you for everybody jumping on this evening. Really appreciate it. Very excited for these improvements, and we'll put out some more publication when we get to the point of wrapped up design, and then also when construction will start out here. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for coming. Have a good night. I'm going to end the meeting.
Bye.